Good morning, friends, and welcome to today's installment of Cichlids and Coffee, the live stream. I appreciate all of you that have been waiting for me patiently. Had to handle a couple quick things here before starting, and I see we've got some great folks already here. I was preparing a video for you. Hopefully that is good. Tell me what how does the AV, how's the sound and the picture look to you? Well, I have a cup of coffee. AV is great. Thank you, Cichlid Kings. Cichlid Kings is one of the moderators on the stream, and you see the little wrench next to their names. Big shout out to them. They really help keep the show on the road, and a lot of interesting stuff in the fish room this week. Some good, some not so good, but we'll get into that. And first off, let's take a look at who is here and give a few little shout outs. Looks like John Yancey was first on the chat. Hey, John. You know, John, I used to do a thing when people were first on the chat, they'd get channel stickers. If you'd like some channel stickers with the channel logo, just write to me. Say you're John Yancey. You were first on the chat at ben.o.cichlid, and I will send you out some channel stickers. Hey, Paul. Usually Paul Newman is first, and he already has stickers. Water change day. Yes, sirree. I've been doing that on Fridays a lot recently. Hey, Carrie. Carrie in the house. Nice to see you here, Carrie. Cat Sailor, Angelo, and hey, Salient in the house. A quick note, I am going to be doing an appearance on Salient's channel. And you can see his channel banner here, Salient Aquatics. That will be 1 week from tomorrow. 1 week from tomorrow on a Sunday. And so I will be appearing on a live stream with Salient Aquatics. Be sure to tune in for that. All right, let's see who else we have here. Michael in the house. Lonanero, good morning to you. Dustin is in the house. Robert Egan, the boss, is here. Z-Zip is here. William Dyer is here. Hope you're doing fine. Finn Golfin. Finn Golfin. I don't know why I just can't get that all as one word. And let's see. Hey, Miguel Citron in the house. Good afternoon to you. Price tag is here as well. Hey, Tammy Harper, South Mississippi. You're not too far from me, Tammy. I drove through Mississippi when I took what's called the Natchez Trace from Nashville all the way down. I stayed on the Mississippi River. Beautiful, beautiful. Tammy Harper in the house, and welcome to you. Frank Vera. Hello, Frank. ¿Cómo estás, amigo? Mucho gusto en verte. And Ozzy the Oscar. Hey, Ozzy the Oscar. I'm going to talk about Oscars today a little bit. And, of course, Cichlid Kings. Upstate New York with Terry. Terry, what's with the guitar? Are you a guitar player, Terry? Very, very cool if you are. I really admire guitar players. Something I always tried to do but never could. Brian Park. Welcome to the live stream, Brian. Alexis Avila in the house. Buenos dias, amigo. Dustin Robley is here as well. I have new baby Mabuna. Congratulations, Dustin. What kind of Mabuna? And 80-1, it's yellow labs. But tell me, what kind of Mabuna? I'd be curious. Julian and Freaky Fish Lady are here. Freaky Fish Lady. Oh, great name. Eric Isaacson, cheers to you, my friend. And Jeremy Moore. Let's go ahead and do the official start here. What do you say? if you'd like to support the channel and what is going on here, which is always something, consider becoming a monthly supporter, a Patreon. And here's a list of some of the monthly supporters. Starts for as little as $3 a month, and the details are in the description. Other ways to support the channel include picking up swag at the Teespring store. You can pick up hoodies and t-shirts and all kinds of cool stuff at the Teespring store. Visit that, and that supports the channel. And also, if you use the Amazon link, amazon.com/shop/ben.o.cichlid. If you use that to get to Amazon, you will help the channel with every purchase you make without having to spend any extra money at all. All right, now let me see if I can add something here. I've never done this during a live stream, so if you lose me, I will be back. But let me see here. Let me see if I can find this and add it to the stream as media, because I prepared a video for you, but it wasn't quite done when the live stream started. Ooh, it looks like it is. Okay. All right, we're going to start that in a minute. So I have a video for you, and it's really a preview of what's going to be released as the lap for this week. I kind of owe you a lap. It's been 2 weeks, I think, and I haven't given you a fish room update. And there's certainly been a lot going on. And as you might expect, it's been interesting in this tank here. And never a dull moment. There's the red tear. And the red tear is still in the 210 gallon. And of course, that's a good sign, right? And you're going to get a full update on this tank and everything else as part of the special video that I prepared for you right before today's live stream. And then after the video, I'll take up your questions, and it can be about what's covered in the video, or it can be about anything really going on here in the fish room. Like I said, it's been some good stuff and some not good stuff, just a combination of things, but all part of running a fish room. Jay Fuller in the house. Hello, Jay. And Jeremy Moore, love the fish room laps. I'm glad you do. I've had mixed. I mean, some people have said, well, we don't want to see a video during a live stream. I get that. I get it. But every now and then, it's kind of good to kind of test it on you folks. It sounds like you're my guinea pigs. I test it on you, and then I go ahead and release it as a video. Looks like Paul Newman's got some fry too. I've got a few fry. I've got a few guppy fry that are hiding in the, well, you'll see that. You'll see it. And Jay Lee in the house from Liverpool. Wow. Hey, Jay Lee, good to see you. Dustin Robley in the house. Eric Isaacson. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and you can prepare your questions for me, and then I will go ahead and take them up after we get over the video. We'll talk about them here in this chat. See the chat screen there that I've pulled up. But let's go ahead and jump into it. This is a full fish room update for you. So here we go. I hope you enjoy it. Comment in the chat as it's going if you have any questions, and then after I will go ahead and come right on and take up the questions that jump out at me. All right, here we go. Hello friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you for tuning in. You know, full fish room updates, or what I call a lap of the fish room, often those can be very exciting and very fun, and sometimes they can be a little down. Hello friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you for tuning in. You know, full fish room updates, or what I call a lap of the fish room, often those can be very exciting and very fun, and sometimes they can be a little down, a little upsetting, and I think today we have a little bit of both. And you know me, I like to get into full disclosure, so I'm going to go ahead and share with you what's been going on in the fish room, the good and the bad. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Well, we'll start on a very positive note, and that's with the status of my planted tank. The electric blue Ocharas are thriving and being very much a part of the community, and the fish and plants are doing better. I actually cut back the light a little more, and the black algae has all but disappeared. Of course, I replaced those phosphate pads, and I did a water change. That sort of thing I think helped. But if you look, a lot of that little hair algae that was showing up is pretty much gone. Little remnants of it maybe on the upper fringe of that front anubias right there, but otherwise it's looking good. Swords, the crypts, fish are doing great. Love these little auto cichlids. They're teeny little, like microfish really in this aquarium, but very cute. Love when they sit on a on one of the leaves, on one of the swords. Very cute fish. Thinking about adding some more plants. I mean, you tell me what you think. Eventually that the val is going to spread, but wouldn't mind a few more plants in here. We'll see. I'll work out something with the aquarium co-op. They've been kind enough to provide me with the majority of the plants that are in this tank. Definitely want to add a little more Sprite. The Sprite seems to kind of just sort of break apart over time and end up stuck on the filter. So definitely want to work on that. The 90's doing great. Looks a little barren since I moved out the silver dollars, but the remaining fish are doing well. Certainly reduced the bio load of this tank. The Buenos Aires tetras were moved to this tank for two reasons: to become dither fish so that the Suryamanensis would stop beating each other up, and also the two Severums. And also they were moved to this tank because they were plant destroyers. If you're considering a planted tank, stay away from Buenos Aires tetras. There's the red shoulder. Don't see him too often. Going around the corner, if you saw my video on Petco, I picked up some of these little bumblebee platies. And they're doing really well. So they'll be in this quarantine tank for about another 3 or 4 weeks. And assuming they continue to eat well and be active and pretty much look like the way they look now, I'll go ahead and bring them over to the live bearer tank. Live bearer tank right here. We've got a few more little baby guppies that are making it, that are hiding up there in the Sprite. This is a floating feeder from ZooMed. I ordered a few more of them from Chewy. I really like them. It just makes it real easy. I was doing all this jerry rigging, you know. I had this all these little like suction cups and things I was using to keep zucchini and cucumber, you know, available to the fish. But this, you just put it in, floats. When they're done, you pull it out. So I've just been rotating it around the fish room. That lyre tail, such a stud. More baby guppies, baby Mickey Mouse platies. So here's the betta tank, and a little bit of bad news here in that I lost my red betta. I don't know what's been going on with me and red bettas, but not really sure what. He just kind of bloated up and just kind of got real slow, started hanging out in the Sprite, and just sort of gave up. So I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think I'm overfeeding. I'm feeding once a day. But this one is thriving, so, and again, that's what makes it a little bit confusing. Why is this one doing so well? And yet the other one, you know, didn't. So I'm not sure if I'll go ahead and just remove this divider, this Life with Pets divider, and turn it into a 29-gallon betta tank, or maybe I'll just move the betta over to the community planted tank and have them be part of that group, and repurpose this tank for something else, like quarantine or hospital tank. So what do you think I should do? You think I should open this up for the one betta, or move the betta to the community tank? Tell me what you think in the comments. And let's go over to the 300. I've had some die off here in the 300 gallon, but not from anything that wasn't already expected. Well, I take it back. The Oculatus was a little bit of a surprise, but I think he was taken out by one of the fish, either the boss, which is the trout, who can get really aggressive when he goes into breeding dress, or quite possibly the Buccochromis rhodesii yellow, which can be very, very aggressive, over here in the corner. So that was a little bit of a surprise, but I had an eye biter who developed a growth on that little black beard that he had, and you know, at the bottom of his chin, it developed a growth, and that growth just kept getting bigger. And I was a little concerned, but I was hoping with a lot of clean water and stuff it would get better, but it didn't. It just kept growing, and he finally passed away. And I'm thinking that maybe what was going on outside on his lip might have also been going on inside. And so one of the things about buying you know, large male cichlids is you really don't know how many years it took to get them up to that size. And so sometimes you can get a fish that's already pretty old when you get them and you don't know it. So it might have been just part of just aging and developing the kind of things that older fish develop. But I'm not really sure, and without an autopsy, I would just be guessing. Another fish in here that is, I suspect, getting older and developing little bumps on the tail is that living stone eye. Little bumps on the body. Fortunately, not something that I think is contagious, but still just sort of signs of a fish just getting kind of old and tired. And I suspect that he'll probably not be around for too much longer, just by the overall demeanor and look. The good news is all the other fish are looking spectacular, great color, great shape and activity. The trout continues to assert himself and build pits, and I had to fill in another pit you see right here with the rock and the plants. That's a pit that he had going on, so I filled that one up, and the aquarium kind of calmed down. He had the fish kind of corralled over to the side. See the way his lower half gets very dark, and he starts chasing fish. And it usually comes right after he builds one of these little pits. So now he went ahead and built one right there, which I'll now have to cover up. I'll probably move these two rocks into that pit, and then he'll probably go and build one another somewhere else. But after I get rid of the pit, he calms down and he colors down. But he is without question the boss of this tank. Apart from adding that rock and plant to cover up that one breeding pit, I went ahead and added a wave maker to this aquarium over here. I had larger, more powerful wave makers, but they were like too powerful, and they were ripping this plant out of the substrate and creating a big pit. So I had to use this one here, which is more, I think, closer to about 1,200 as opposed to like 3,000 gallons per hour. All I'm trying to do is hit this spot right here, which is kind of a dead spot, and you can see some waste occasionally building up in there. So I added this wave maker to help clear up that dead spot, keep that detritus in the water column. And what it's doing, of course, it's on a timer. So it's on when the lights are on, and then when the lights are off, it'll go off and let the tank calm down just a little bit. I do need to get some additional fish in this tank. I am working with James Largo on getting some more fish sent over, but if that doesn't work out, I've got a plan B in mind. More on that later. We've had some very interesting shifts. You know, when I first brought over this red terror, he was very, very shy and very subdominant, and he was definitely getting harassed by the Oscar, the large red tiger, and that's pretty much over. I mean, I've seen him pushing the red tiger around, chasing the red tiger, so he is now dominant over the red tiger and certainly over the albino. The albino really is working hard to avoid him at all costs. The other fish are not messing with him, but the vieja is not subdominant. He actually avoids the vieja. Just on sheer size. That might change over time. I mean, because of course the red terror is going to get bigger. But he stays away from the vieja. And also the Salvini. As you can see, the Salvini has taken over his cave. You can see her poking her nose out. That was the cave of the red terror. The Salvini just came over and took it over. Said, no, I like it. It's mine now. I'm certainly keeping a close eye on things, and if it gets a little bit too violent, if I start to see too much damage or a relentless pursuit of one fish, I'll go ahead and start pulling fish out, and or return the red terror to the 55 gallon. Maybe try and breed them. The Salvini doesn't mess with the Vieja. They kind of stay out of each other's way. I can't really tell which one is dominant. I've never seen the Salvini chase the Vieja. If I had to like say, okay, who is the boss of this tank right now? It would probably have to be the Vieja, who just sort of wanders around with no worries. Nobody messes with him. And probably next in line would be the Salvini, who doesn't mess with the Vieja, but when she comes out of that cave, she pretty much goes after whoever she wants, except the Vieja. And probably third, I'd have to put at this point, is the red terror. Third in the pecking order is the red terror. You can see right there, the red terror wants nothing to do with the Vieja. As far as tank bosses go, the Vieja's in a lot of ways kind of ideal. But if I see any damage, I still have the 55 open and available. So this tank is still set up, and I could just throw the red terror in here if I didn't like what I was seeing overall in that aquarium. Another change that I did was I removed one of the stiff media panels that I had in this sump, because it was just sort of collapsing on itself. So I don't really recommend that stiff media. Instead, just go with those the sponges, those thick matten sponges. Those really work the best for a DIY sump. But I went ahead and pulled out one panel that was collapsing. I replaced some pinky floss. See there, little pinky floss. And between that and the socks, not a lot gets through there. And I moved the heater from the pump area over to this front area. It's one of the two heaters I run on this tank. It has two 4-inch wide, 14-inch long socks. But if I had to choose, I would say that the best kind of material for a DIY sump, it would be 4-inch wide matten sponges like the 3 I have in this sump here. This is a much better setup. It just stays rock solid, and I use only one sock, one 7-inch wide sock for both of the drain pipes. So if you're thinking about a DIY sump, go with the 4-inch wide matten sponges, custom cut to fit your aquarium. So there you have it. All things considered, it's still, I think, running relatively well. I think there's a lot more positive than negative, but I do like to share with you everything that's going on, and so there are no surprises, and also I don't get any questions down the road like, hey, whatever happened to the blah blah blah. So I just tell you up front, and I am working on replacing a few fish. I am working on on a couple of other projects. More on that as we go along. So thank you for tuning in, and be sure, if you like the content of this channel, to hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up, the bell. Tell YouTube that something good is going on around here. And if you'd like to support the ongoing projects in the fish room, please be sure to consider becoming a member of the Garage Gang and become a Patreon monthly supporter. Starts for as little as $3 a month. Details are in the description under the video. Thank you, my friends. You're the best. Talk to you again later. Bye-bye. There you go. A preview of an upcoming video, and you saw it first. Hope you enjoyed that, and I did enjoy reading your comments as it was playing, and you're making me think that maybe that 29 gallon is split in two is too much for a betta. Jerry talked about how they get exhausted in too big of a tank. The Sprite does do well in that 29 gallon. That might be because of the Hygger light that's on there, not sure, but the other tanks seem to struggle with the Sprite. But interesting, very interesting points. You would think that bigger is better, but maybe that's not necessarily the case with a betta. Very, very interesting. So, Vibes Aquatic is lurking. Hey, Vibes, you can lurk. That's okay. Lurking's okay. And Jeremy, thank you for that. And I, it's in all the years I've been keeping fish, it's something that does happen. And when you keep a lot of fish, percentages are that some stuff is going to come up. So, and it does. And the good news is, I think I have an understanding and a handle on what happened, and I'm gaining more of it as we go along. So it's always a learning process. So let's take a look at some of your questions here. See what you have to say, and pull up the chat. Looks like Sam Penny knows some folks that are getting rid of some tanks, but I don't think anyone, is that in Australia, Sam, that's happening? Oh, thank you, Vibes. Appreciate that. A plug for a thumbs up. And let's see here. GP says they don't need to be in a teeny tank. Well, and again, like, where's what do we call a teeny tank for a betta? I mean, they sell them in cups, and I think we all agree that's inhumane, that a fish should be in, like, a Dixie cup, a Solo cup. Actually, the cups are smaller than Solo cups, I think. So, what would be optimal size? I mean, 10 gallon, 5 gallon. I mean, I have a little acrylic 5 gallon that's kind of nice, but a little bow front 5 gallon. Interesting questions. I've thought about adding other kinds of floating plants. I know, Boss, you mentioned floating plants. Things like duckweed, things like that. I've heard duckweed can go out of control real fast, though. So I thought the Sprite might be the best. If you have any other recommendations on floating plants, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Hey, Dennis. Dennis in the house. Another one of our moderators, along with his fiancée, Edith, who is becoming more and more interested in keeping fish. That's a good thing. M&C Aquatics. I'm keeping 15 female bettas in a 40 breeder with a bunch of cardinals as dithers, simple sponge filters. I'm thinking about simple sponge filters. Now, the only reason I stayed away from sponge filters on a betta tank was breaking up the surface like that. I thought that would mess with their bubble nests. and I know that they really enjoy building those bubble nests, and those are always a good sign with the betta. Have you found that having a small sponge filter that has disrupted the bubble nests for your betta? I'd be curious to know about that. Ex-Kali Kev in the house. Hey, Ex-Kali Kev. Hello from Ex-Kali Ben. I am loving my new home in Nashville, but I'll tell you, sometimes when the humidity gets up there, it gets a little rough. A little rough. I did a bike ride 2 days ago. It was 90 degrees, felt like 105, and very high humidity, right on borderline rain. And I was toast when I got home, completely toast. Let's see. Melissa, I've always kept mine in 5 to 10 gallons. Okay. Tammy likes the 5-gallon planted tank for bettas. No duckweed, Crystal C. No duckweed. Yeah, I've heard it just goes crazy. I had a friend in California was always asking me. He had a pond. I guess it took over. He's always asking me, Ben, do you need some duckweed? I got some extra duckweed. He's always trying to unload duckweed on people. Oh, let's see. Sam Penny, I also have a question on sumps. So I am looking to get into sump filtration and no, not much. How did you go about making that scary move into sump filtration? Sammy, you can Sam, you can learn from my mistakes. I made just about every mistake. At the time, I couldn't find videos. Out there on sumps. There were a few in the saltwater community, but a lot of them were very like fragmented or about a specific plumbing issue or about adding a skimmer or things of that nature. Nothing that kind of took you from point A to point B and just kind of laid it out. So I would encourage you to watch my my sump playlist, starting probably from about a year ago, because the early ones probably are not necessarily the what I would be doing today. I'd start maybe about a year ago. Probably start with the DIY sump series, and there's various ways you can go. You can go with a drill tank. You can go with an undrilled tank. I mean, there's different ways you can go. I talk about almost all of that in the sump videos. I just took the plunge, and I got my floor wet a few times. I got some help from a lot of folks, including Denny Riddell, and once I got the concept of what's really going on with the water, it's like, oh, the light bulb went on, and never had a problem after that with flooding or anything else. You just realize that you've got to leave that room in the sump so that if everything shuts off, the tank can drain into the sump and not overflow. And once you're in that sweet spot, if you notice in the video, there's like tape on the sump, like that's as high as I can fill it. Once you get into that sweet spot, you're good. You don't have to be afraid anymore. But there's a lot to dig into and understand. But it's actually very simple. You just imagine it's just a hang-on back that just happens to be a lot bigger, and it's under the tank. Just a big giant hang-on back filter, basically. Robert Egan jumps in with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated for the help in supporting the channel. Super chats are a way for you to support the channel. You can do it down below the chat. There's a little money sign. Hit that, and then and we're good to go. All right, let's see. David Glass wants to know, what filter would you recommend for a 150-gallon tank? HOB, some. Well, David, I would suggest what I have on my larger tanks, which is a combo of a sump and a canister. If you're not comfortable with that, or not set up or familiar with a sump, then two canisters, two Fluval FX6s, two Sun 704Bs or Sun 3000s, anything like that, and would do it. And maybe put a wave maker, maybe a couple wave makers in the back corners to keep the detritus up in the water column so it goes into the sumps, into the filters. Use a pre-filter on your canister. That way you can separate service time quite a bit, maybe 6 months, 9 months between servicing. And that would be the way I would recommend you do it. But 150, yeah, you're definitely in the sump zone. Definitely in the sump zone. Yeah, and Sam, of course, you can always reach out to me. You can always, if you run into a problem, you can always write to me at ben.o.cichlid, and I might not get back to you instantly because I have a lot of stuff going on in life, of course, but I will, if I can, answer your questions about sumps. Random guy. There's a random guy in the chat. Hello, random guy. And let's see here. William Dyer, there's a floating betta log that you can get. Well, that's interesting. And then the betta will build the bubble nest in the floating log, and that protects it from any surface agitation. That makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna have to look into that. The whole world of betta is like a new world for me. Just like I jumped into South and Central Americans, and there are probably people who tune into my channel and go, was that a red tear and a Salvini? And does he have an Oscar in there? And a green tear? Is he insane? So, anyway, I'm learning as I go. Sam Penny is proud of his pleco. You can reward him with a algae wafer. Don't give him too many because then he'll stop eating your algae. Any questions, go ahead and throw them at me now. Now's a good time. I have a video coming out this afternoon. And I was going to give you a preview of it, but I don't have it queued up. Now, I did release the video on the safeguards that I have in place in my fish room. I appreciate you folks who took the time to watch that. My fish room safeguards against disaster. I think the video this afternoon is going to be my no fuss fish tank. And somebody wrote to me, made a comment. They said they were getting a little bit older and not wanting to mess with things like canister filters. At the same time, they wanted to have a nice sized tank with some good sized fish in it. I mean, because the first answer you have is, well, get that, do a dirted tank with a sand cap, load it up with 1,000 plants, put a few, put some shrimp in there, and maybe a few cories, and maybe a few ember tetras, and you'll be good to go. But this person, I think, wanted to have some decent sized fish. So I thought about it. And I said, okay, what would be, in my mind, a no fuss, the least amount of fuss in a fish tank? And so that you could have the fish that you want, but not really have to put a lot of physical effort. Let's say you have a bad back or you're getting older. You don't want to put a lot of physical effort and not a tremendous amount of time. So what would be that? How would you set that tank up? So watch for that video. That'll be out this afternoon at, I think, 3 o'clock Central. So watch for that. All right, let's see. Any other questions for me? Waynard, Walmerans. Yes, it is to be better late than never. And if you, since you came late, yeah, you missed the video, but it will be released as a lap, as a standalone lap video, probably maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll drop it tomorrow, so you missed the lap. You also missed that I will be appearing on Salient Aquatics a week from tomorrow. I'll be a guest on Salient Aquatics. Tune in for that and give Salient a little bit of love. Check out his channel and give the man a sub. Sam Penny, my dad has run this 5-foot planted with every fish under the sun. Cichlids, swordtails, you name it. Basically has done nothing with it. And I think the key is plants, sun, and a balance of fish. Wow. Very cool. It would seem to me that the cichlids would destroy the plants, but I don't know. Maybe it's just such a huge abundance. And the plants, if you get enough plants going, they will do the heavy lifting for you. Good morning, Adam Frankel. Good morning to you. Yeah, you know, it's like the holy grail of a lot of fish keepers. Not for me. I actually find working on my tanks very, very therapeutic. But for a lot of folks, I mean, their holy grail is the fish tank that requires very little work. And I might reach a point, maybe, where I might want something like that. I've got a 60-gallon acrylic sitting in the corner here, unused. Maybe I'll do a dirt with a sand cap and fill it full of plants and see what happens. Who knows? Maybe throw some discus in there. But yeah, the plants will do the heavy lifting with you. We'll do the heavy lifting for you. And probably the best channel to find out about that. Probably a couple of them. You know, the Secret Life in your aquarium is probably a good one. Lou Brett's LRB Aquatics is a good one. And of course, Father Fish. They all have great videos on how to set up tanks that are really relying heavily on the plants to do a lot of the work. Cat Sailor, best thing I ever did, getting plants in the tank. That's true. They really help with the balance and the really establishing it. I think one of the reasons that the 55-gallon planted aquarium is becoming so rock solid is because of the plants in there. And as you all would agree, I could put a lot more plants in there. Cichlid Kings, I don't think it's going to be a face-off on Salient Aquatics. I think it'll be a nice discussion. I don't necessarily get into face-offs on live videos. All right, let's see. Any questions? This is a good time. Midwest Aquatics in the house. Welcome to you. And Jay Fuller is suggesting try Diana Wallstad's book on the science of planted tanks. Now, wasn't Diana a recent guest on Aquarium Co-op? I think she was a guest on Aquarium Co-op. Very, very cool. Or Baglio in the house. I don't, unless, if you have that bell, checked off, R. Baglio, you should be getting a notification. You might have had notifications temporarily off on your phone, but you should be getting a notification. If not, check to make sure that YouTube didn't uncheck the bell. YouTube will do oddball stuff like that. Cichlid Kings made a comment about the Salvini and the albino. I think the red terror loves hanging out with me. If he was a puppy dog, he would just be on my shoulder. And we'll see. I mean, if the dynamic of the tank starts to become one of a bunch of terrorized fish, I don't have any reluctance of moving them back into the 55. But we'll see. I mean, because the tank was functioning pretty well. That's always a risk when you add a new cichlid to a cichlid tank. There's always the risk of something going off. Jerry's Fish Room. So it was a guest on KG Tropicals? Is that what you're saying? Very cool. Adam just added Anubias to my tanks and Java Fern. Now, a tip that I picked up from Rachel O'Leary, Adam, is if you're Anubias, first of all, your Anubias do not need a lot of light and are actually, I think Anubias comes from the name of the Egyptian god for the shade or the underworld or something like that. But they do well in shade. And also, if the roots get too long, trim the roots. And according to Rachel O'Leary, if you keep the roots, don't let the roots get too straggly, you'll always get new growth. Freaky Fish Lady, yes, she just put out her 5th book. Wow. Wallstad. Got to check that out. Lady Diane, I'm so late. Lady Diane, you have to email me a note explaining why you were. You can always catch the replay. I did play a video, and that video will be released as a standalone video tomorrow. A lap of the fish tank of the fish room. Dennis has a question about North Fin, and I'll tell you, the North Fin is actually finding a very important role in my fish room. The North Fin, like the Extreme, is a sinking pellet. And what happens is that some of the fish, especially the subdominant fish, like the bicolor 500, some of the fish in here that like to hang out near the bottom, like the Jack Dempsey, the firemouth, Nicaragua, those fish, even the green terror to some degree, those fish will not go to the top and attack the food. So if some of the food is floating food, let's say I throw in a handful of floating food, those fish that are lower in the aquarium are just not going to get, they're not going to get anywhere near it because they're just subdominant. They don't want to compete with the fish at the top. So the North Fin food, especially when I'm feeding to different sides of the tank, is allowing everybody to have a shot at the food because it sinks very rapidly. So I'll throw a little floating food in, some of the floating pellets from Sarah, and some of the floating North Fin food, and I'll throw in some of the sinking pellets from Extreme and North Fin, and everybody gets a shot at the food. The size of this beast. What do you think? About 11 inches. 10 to 11 inches. Sam Penny, how well tempered are those Oscars? The Oscars are actually extremely mellow. The red tiger was threatening the red tear, but that didn't last long. And the red tiger would open his mouth really big and hold it in front of the red tear, like, I'm going to bite you. I'm going to bite you. And, but then the red tear called his bluff, and that was the end of that. So they are very mellow. And they're acting very, very subdued since I brought over the red tear. And again, I got to watch it. If they start to act a little bit too subdued, I'll probably have to pull the red tear out, because, as you know, stress will bring about disease and other things, other problems with fish, and I just don't want that to happen. Sam Penny, would you consider starting a fish keeping podcast? Don't know, Sam. Don't know. I'm kind of talked out already. Between 2 or 3 videos and a live stream and a grandchild and another one on the way, by the way. I don't know if I've told you yet. I have another grandchild on the way. Got to see the first little video. Anyway, exciting news. But the way my life is set up right now, I don't know if I can add another podcast or vlog or anything at this point. Crystal C, my fish love the North Fin. I've had to grind it up so they won't eat what? So they won't eat it? I had to grind it up or they won't. Oh, you have to get smaller. Okay. But now I am battling increased biofilm. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Now, some filters will provide a skimmer, a little skimmer. Like I know Sun canisters, they have a little skimmer attachment that you can add to the tube, and that would handle that. But Robert Egan has a question. What are your thoughts on using products like Clear Magic after a water change for gin clear water? Well, I can't comment on Clear Magic, Robert. I will say that I have noticed an immediate improvement. I have noticed an immediate improvement in water quality when you're adding products like the Boyd or the Seachem, the Pyrogen products, ChemiPure, products like that. The resin-based products, they really will pull impurity and cloudiness out of your tank. So I have noticed a marked improvement with that. But I haven't used that product per se. And if I notice a little bit of a like a lack of clarity in the aquarium, there's a couple things I'll do. I'll add some Pyrogen, maybe add a layer of floss to a filter, like Pinky Floss, something like that. There are other products you can use. I think Seachem has an additive. There are biological additives like Fritz 360, and what they do is they bind to the fine particles and make them a little bit larger so that the filter media can trap them. So I have used products like that. So yeah. But I don't know about Clear Magic. Just don't know. I can't speak directly to that. Thank you, Orbaglio. Thank you to those of you saying congratulations. If she is if she or he is anywhere near the fun level I'm having with my granddaughter, I mean, I go out with that gal and we have so much fun. You've seen her in a couple videos now. Even the folks over at Aquatic Critter, they've come over to me and said, you know, we get a lot of kids in here. I just want to say that kid is special. I mean, that kid is so sweet and calm and smiles and gentle with everything. And anyway, just amazing. And as you follow the channel, you'll probably watch her grow up, you know, God willing. And in the back of my mind, I've got this idea, you know, wouldn't it be a cool thing for someday, because she loves the fish. And of course, she's getting a lot of it with me in the fish room, going to fish stores. Wouldn't it be cool if someday he took over the fish room and it became her channel? And it would be her way of, you know, it'd be, you know, Ben Ochart and the river. So who knows? We'll see. We always have plans for our kids and grandkids, and they end up doing with it whatever they want anyways. All right. So thank you to all of you who sat in today. Thank you to those of you who super chatted. I hope I didn't miss a super chat. And thank you to my Patreon members and to my wonderful moderators. Thank you for your help. And I think that being said, we're at a good point. We're at 1 hour and 7 minutes. So unless you have an emergency question, don't forget you can reach me at ben.o.cichlid. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. If you try and reach me through things like the Instagram chat, Facebook chat, things like that, I might not get back to you because I don't check those that often. So ben.o.cichlid at Gmail is the best way to get a hold of me. And feel free to contact me and look for my No Fuss Aquarium video this afternoon, the full lap replay tomorrow. And hopefully next week, I'll be able to get done the second part of the North Fin interview. If you didn't see the first North Fin video, go there, ask any questions you might have about North Fin or about fish food in general, and I will ask those questions from the North Fin representative. All right? So there you go. You folks are the best. Thank you so much. And I will see you folks this coming next Saturday at the same time. And then on Sunday, I will see you a week from tomorrow at the Salient Aquatics channel in a live stream. All right? Thank you, folks. You're the best. You rock. And I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.